Okay, so earlier this year Samsung released the Galaxy A02s, which we thought was a direct successor to the A01 from last year. But it turns out that was not the case, and we now have the direct successor in the form of the Samsung Galaxy A02. So yeah, there's an A02 and an A02s. And the highest configuration of the A02 is very similar in price to the base configuration of the A02s. So we're here to find out, should you buy the Samsung Galaxy A02 or you should go for the A02s instead? Stay with me here, guys. What is up, guys? My name is Izzy and I bring you another comparison, hopefully one you are going to find very useful. The Samsung Galaxy A02 versus the A02s. Two successors to the A01 from the year 2020. I have reviewed them individually and I'm going to have links down in the description so you can check those individual reviews out. I'll also have my affiliate links down there with the most up-to-date pricing. If you've seen the A02s, you might question the existence of the A02. There is what I'd like to call a significant feature and performance gap between them. The base model of the A02s has 3GB of RAM and 32GB of storage, while the highest configuration is 4GB of RAM and up to 64GB in storage. The A02 on the other hand has 2GB of RAM and 32GB of storage on the base model and 3GB of RAM and 64GB of storage on the highest configuration. For this comparison, I have the 3GB model of the A02s and the highest configuration of the A02, that is the one with 3GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. Both of them are at similar price points and you can even find the A02s slightly cheaper on Amazon right now. Well, we are trying to find out which is the better value for money, so do well to subscribe to the channel if you like comparisons like this one. Let's start with their similarities. What do they have in common? They are both sporting a 6.5-inch 720p Infinity V display, similar screen to body ratio with a 20:9 aspect ratio. Both displays are identical and can play YouTube videos up to 1080p. However, you can notice that playback is not as smooth on the A02 like it is with the A02s. Hopefully you are able to notice that on video. They also have similar selfie and rear camera configuration with the exemption of a depth sensor that is absent from the A02. We're going to take a look at their picture quality later and see if this affects. They both also have the same 5000 mAh battery capacity and come with the same charger. The Samsung Galaxy A02s and A02 also both lack a fingerprint sensor. The ones I have here for this comparison both support 3GB of RAM. Still on their similarities, both run on Android 10 and One UI 2.5 core version, upgradable to Android 11. But there is some grey area with the software on the A02 which we are going to address shortly. That is all for similarities. The Samsung Galaxy A02 and A02s have contrasting design, with the A02s looking more stylish in my opinion with that S20 FE inspired design. It also feels better to hold in the hand. The A02 has a much simpler and nicely looking design. Both are built of plastic on the rear and glass on the display. Buttons and ports on both devices are in similar positions, but you can easily notice that the A02s has USB-C while the A02 has a micro USB port. The Samsung Galaxy A02s also has dual microphones with one at the top, while the A02 has just one, that is at the bottom. On the software side of things, both supposedly run full Android 10, but you see those grey areas I mentioned earlier with the A02? Well, here we go. The software on the Samsung Galaxy A02 feels more like the Android 10 Go edition. You don't get a lot of features. You don't get gesture navigation, you don't get split screen multitasking, you also don't get pop-up view. You get the light version of the Samsung Internet application. And that is not all. On the One UI side of things, you get less features. You don't get smart view, that is no connection to your television. You also don't get quick share and you don't get face unlock. You also get fewer camera modes. All the missing features I just mentioned are present on the A02s. The Samsung Galaxy A02s comes with a Snapdragon 450 chipset, while the A02 comes with a 28nm Mediatek 6739 processor, which I have to say is quite underwhelming. You can play titles like Asphalt 9 or PUBG Mobile on the Samsung Galaxy A02, but you can run these games quite well on the A02s. With the A02, Asphalt 9 could not even load past the first screen. So you don't want the A02 if you are planning to do some proper gaming. Just forget about gaming when it comes to the A02. Applications in general run better and smoother on the A02s. You're going to experience significant stutter on the A02 if you are running regular applications. There is also noticeable delay when launching apps on the A02. So in a speed test, 100% of the time the Samsung Galaxy A02s is the faster device. Note that this is the base model of the A02s with 3GB of RAM and 32GB of storage versus the highest configuration of the A02 with 3GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. In this comparison so far, the A02s looks to have trumped in all aspects, but the cameras is where it gets a little tricky. Both devices have the same camera configuration except that the A02 does not have a depth sensor. They both have a 5MP selfie camera and a 13MP main rear camera, accompanied by a 2MP macro camera. The A02 does not get portrait or live focus mode, also no panorama and pro modes. You can find these features on the A02s. But what about picture quality? Does the absence of the depth sensor and the lack of extra camera modes have any effect on the picture quality of the A02 when compared to the A02s? Well, it might surprise you to know that while they both have similar camera configuration, the picture quality looks very different. The pictures you've seen so far, the one on the left is the A02 and the one on the right is the A02s. In my opinion, the A02 seems to do better with colors. Shame it has fewer camera modes and you cannot take portrait shots. What do you think about these photos? Which would you say is better in your opinion? Make sure to leave a comment below. The Samsung Galaxy A02 and A02s can both shoot videos up to 1080p 30 frames per second on both the selfie and the rear camera. What is up guys, it's another camera comparison, this time comparing the Samsung Galaxy A02 and A02s. We are looking at video from their selfie cameras. Both have 5MP selfie cameras and both can shoot 1080p Full HD videos at 30 frames per second. The Samsung Galaxy A02s has significantly more camera modes. It has Pro mode, it has live focus mode. That is missing from Samsung Galaxy A02. What do you think about the microphone quality? What do you think about the picture quality you've seen so far? What do you think about the video quality? Do leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. So, the Samsung Galaxy A02 versus the Samsung Galaxy A02s. Which one should you actually go for? From the detailed comparison so far, here are the facts. The A02s is the overall better device in terms of performance. It has more complete software and also better features. The A02, however, while it lacks in most areas, seems to do better with pictures, but that is just about that. If you ask me, I'd say if you have a budget for the highest configuration of the A02, that is the one with 3GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, go for the base model of the A02s instead. I can only recommend the A02 if you're on a really tight budget and can only afford the base 2GB version. As long as you stick with the light version of applications, you should be just fine. That is all from me. Tell me which would you pick between the Samsung Galaxy A02 and the A02s. If you find this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up or give a thumbs down if you don't. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Peace.